Hey, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're watching from. I'm Brian Manning, and I want to answer your questions today about winning asylum in America. So, I used to be an asylum officer with the government, with USCIS, the Asylum Office, but now I'm an asylum lawyer, and my law firm, called Political Asylum Lawyers, we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And I'm ready to answer your questions. But actually, I'm not ready. Before we get to your questions, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to see where you guys are at. Say hello. Say hi. Let me know I like to hear what city you're in, or what state at least. Say hi. Let me know where you're watching from today. Hey, good morning, TikTok. Abdul, Ramasamy. Good morning, Ella. Good morning, Memory123. Namara. Thanks for being with us. Hello, Just Harry says. Ramasamy says hi. Ankush says hi. Hello from Boston, says user873. Good morning, says Just Harry. Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning to all of you. Memory123 says hi. Hello. Fitz says I'm living in, where is it? Ramasamy's over in San Francisco, watching from SF. Hey, YouTube. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. How are you guys doing this fine day? Welcome. This is the Asylum Answer Show, where I answer your questions about asylum in the United States. We got nobody over here. It says, thank you for here. This person has the YouTube handle, nobody. It says, hi, Brian. Thank you for your incredible training. It was fabulous. My pleasure. Glad you were there. Nobody over on YouTube is talking about a training that I did last week on Thursday live, and it was about 50 insider perspectives from the other side of the desk about the asylum interview. And I actually, I published a version of that training yesterday on YouTube, like a more polished video on YouTube that you can find on YouTube on my channel, which is called Political Asylum Lawyers. That's the name of my law firm as well. That's the name of the YouTube channel, Political Asylum Lawyers. You can find this new training that nobody is talking about over on YouTube. He says, thank you for your incredible training. It was fabulous. You're welcome. Glad you were there. It's pretty long. It's pretty detailed. It's about an hour long. So if you guys want some deep help, some serious training, go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers. Nice. Why are receipt notices delayed, sir? Says Ankush. I didn't know that they were. Well, I guess you mean, did you apply by mail? If you applied by mail, they've been delayed. They've been delayed for a long time. If you apply online, which is how I strongly recommend that you apply, then it's immediate. You get the receipt notice immediately, or at most like by the end of the next business day. So it's a much better way to apply for asylum. I strongly recommend that you apply online rather than by physical mail. Okay. All right. What questions do we have? Yes, keep saying. I want to know where you guys are at. Say hello. Yeah. Nice. All right. We got YouTube. We got Facebook. We got TikTok. We got LinkedIn. Good morning. Welcome. This is the Asylum Answer Show. For those who just joined, I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer, but now as a lawyer, well, my law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And I want to know today what you want to know about asylum. What do you need to know? What do you want to know about winning asylum in the United States? All right. Minnesota, says Mao S. Nice. Yeah, I went to law school in Minnesota. I love Minnesota. It's nice up there. We got, how about immigration, husband to wife visa? Jay, that's not something that my law firm handles. We don't do family-based immigration. We just do asylum. Asylum is what we do all day, every day. All right. Nice. Okay. Thank you. El Dulce. Appreciate that sharing live. Yeah. By the way, you guys share this live. If you in your communities, there may be a lot of people out there that could benefit from learning about asylum, from getting perspectives from an asylum lawyer who used to be an asylum officer with the government. So if you think that might help the people in your circle, in your community, share this live. Go ahead. Yeah, please. I would be grateful if you could share it. Do that. All right. Let's go to the questions. Let's see. What do we got? Who wants to know about winning asylum in the United States? We got Unbox It, or Unbox IT, says from Houston. Nice. H-Town. All right. Good question. Goggin Brar says, if your affirmative asylum case with USCIS is dormant for 9 to 10 years, and then you decide to add your spouse as a derivative, does that update on the case can that trigger an interview notice? Good question. The question is this. Can adding a dependent to your pending asylum case with USCIS trigger your interview? So we get this question a lot. People have heard that, like, if they go and ask USCIS to add their spouse or child as the dependent to their case, that action might end up causing USCIS to schedule the interview, that it will trigger an interview notice. No, that's not true at all. It's not how it works. No. Adding a dependent it does not have anything to do with when you get your interview. It will not trigger your interview. But look, if you've been waiting for multiple years for your interview, you should consider suing. We do this all the time. We help clients sue the government to force their asylum interview, because I believe the sooner you get your interview, the better your chances for success. If you're sick of waiting, you're sick of the uncertainty that comes with not having permanent status here, and you want to get your case so you can get your interview so you can win your case and move on with your life about confidence, with certainty about your future, you should talk with an asylum lawyer about suing the government. It's called a Mandamus lawsuit. It's a weird word, Mandamus lawsuit. It's an extremely powerful tool. We love it. Our clients love it because it works. That is that. Yeah, Goggin, we should talk. We should talk about Mandamus. You've been waiting 9 to 10 years. You are in a very strong position to have success with this Mandamus case. Okay. Nice. Unbox IT says, I'm also your client. And they say, your latest training and others are so detailed and very helpful for understanding the process. Thank you, Unbox IT, who is also our client. I'm not sure who you are because I don't know, your YouTube handle doesn't have your real name, but thank you for saying that. Thank you for being our client. First of all, thank you for putting your trust in us. Choosing an asylum lawyer is a really big decision, right? We're talking about your future. We're talking about, your safety. And we're talking about the life that you're trying to build in America, all at stake here. So, I really think that it's a huge decision. So we appreciate all of our clients who have put their trust, their faith in us. We take that trust very seriously. We're honored. All right. All right. So what's the best answer to the question regarding leaving your home country legally? Can you respond by saying, although the persecutors were from the government, they did not cause legal problems? Look, the question is this. So how can you respond to the question that many asylum seekers get about, well, look, you were able to leave your country through the airport, and the authorities that you say you're afraid of, they didn't detain you, they didn't harm you. If they want to hurt you so bad, why didn't they do it? Because, you went through immigration at the airport, so they had your data, they probably looked you up in the system, yet they chose to let you leave the country, and they didn't even do anything to you on the way out. So asylum officers use this to try to make the argument like, well, they must not want to harm you, therefore, which is not how it works in the real world, right? Like, look, if you have a theory about why, in your particular case, if it's the government that you fear, why they let you leave without harming you, then of course explain that to the officer. But I think a reasonable thing for probably many contexts, many cases that I've heard people say, applicants say is, well, like, look, being in the country is the problem. Leaving is not the problem. If the government hates me because I'm a political dissident and I'm protesting against them and I'm causing trouble, they want me out of the country. They don't want me to stay. They'd rather have me leave. So they're fine with me leaving. And, why mess with someone when they're on their way out and they're about to go to some other country where they might, raise a stink and go to the press about being mistreated on the way out? Why deal with all that? Just let them go. They're out of our hair. They're no longer our problem. So I guess the idea is, look, the problem is being in my country. The problem for my government is not having me leave. They're happy to see me leave, so they facilitate that. It's not a problem. The problem is being there. That's when I'm in risk. Okay, is something that I've heard people say that I think makes sense. Is Trump going to cancel TPS for Syrians in 2025? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. All right, what questions do you have about? I wouldn't be surprised. They're trying to find ways to kick out as many people as possible, and that's a good way to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised. All right, what questions do you have about asylum in America? We've got USA Sales. It says I'm waiting for 11 years. You've been waiting for 11 years. USA Sales? I want to know. Are you talking about waiting for 11 years for your asylum interview with USCIS, or waiting in immigration court for your final hearing? USA Sales, if you've been waiting for 11 years for your asylum interview with USCIS, we should talk. I want you to please schedule a consultation to talk with one of my colleagues, one of our asylum professionals, because you are in a very strong position to have success with a Mandamus lawsuit where you sue the government to force them to give you your decision. 11 years is ridiculous. You can schedule that consultation with us at winasylum.com. 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 Go there. Schedule that right now. You don't need to wait till this live is over. Just go right now. winasylum.com and schedule that consultation. Okay? winasylum.com. I want to talk with you, USA Sales, please, because look, 11 years is ridiculous. You're in a very strong position for success with this Mandamus lawsuit. And we love doing this. We do it all the time. And I think the sooner that you get your interview, the better. I think the sooner that you have your interview, the better your chances for success. So for anyone who's been waiting for multiple years, really, for our law firm, we say 5 years is the minimum. If you've been waiting 5 years or more, we think you're in a good position for success with the Mandamus lawsuit, and we want to talk with you about it. So schedule a consultation at winasylum.com. All right. Okay. Paula says, Aliman says, I'm an asylum seeker. I had a first court and now I'm waiting for a second court, but I got married. Do you mean you got married to a U.S. citizen or just got married? If you got married to a U.S. citizen, that could help you. That could be a way to get a green card, to get permanent residency. Yes, to a U.S. citizen. Okay. You should talk with a lawyer who focuses on, an immigration lawyer who focuses on marriage-based immigration, because unfortunately we don't do that. We just do asylum. Asylum is what we do all day, every day. But you should talk with an asylum lawyer, a lawyer, an immigration lawyer who focuses on family-based immigration to see about the prospect of possibly getting help with getting a green card based on that. Look, but this raises an important question, and the question is this. So let's say you've got an asylum case pending, but then you get married to a U.S. citizen, and you're thinking, well, okay, now that I'm married to a U.S. citizen, I'm going to get a green card through them, right? So I don't need to pursue my asylum case anymore. I'll just give up the asylum case. I will withdraw it. To that, I say, don't do it. I think it's a bad idea. Look, I think you should keep pursuing every means possible to get permanent residency until you get a green card in your hand. Then you can give up on the other paths. I know it may seem straightforward, like, oh, I'm married to a U.S. citizen. I'm surely going to win that case and get my green card, right? Well, look, the chances for you having success with that green card case are definitely higher than the chances for winning asylum, generally speaking. The approval rate is much higher for green card cases based on marriage than they are for asylum cases. But you never know. You never know. People do get denied in these family-based green card cases all the time. Even people that are legitimately, married for the right reasons and not committing immigration fraud, they still get denied, okay? So what I'm saying is keep the asylum claim open. Keep pursuing both cases simultaneously unless and until you get that green card in your hand based on marriage. At that point, then it's okay to withdraw your asylum claim, but don't do it until you get that green card in your hand, is my recommendation. All right. Ebo Adams says, how do I give you a call? Well, look, honestly, I'm going to put the number in the chat, but honestly, the best way to schedule a consultation with us is at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, winasylum.com. I'm going to put that in the chat right now, but then I'm going to put the phone number too in case you prefer to call us. WINASYLUM.com. winasylum.com. Now I'm going to put the phone number, which you can find in the profile, my profile on whatever platform you're watching this on. I'm putting the phone number. I'm going to put it on the screen for those of you who are on YouTube and Facebook. You will see this on the screen. TikTok, you're not going to see it. Yeah, let's talk. Let's talk. Alrighty. Lena Gale says, or Hill says, how can I prove to the officer that I'm still in danger after 9 years old pending asylum? Talking about the interview. Well, first of all, Lena, has your interview been scheduled yet? If so, we should talk about doing a mock interview so that you can practice. If not, we should talk about suing the government so that we can force your interview. If you've been waiting for 9 years, Lena, you're in a very strong position to have success with a Mandamus lawsuit to force USCIS to give you your interview. But now let me address your actual question. Look, so the question, right, is this. So how do you convince the asylum officer that you're still in danger if you've already been in the United States a long time by the time you finally have your asylum interview, and maybe nothing has happened, from the bad guys recently? How do you convince the officer that, look, I'm still at risk? Because to be sure, this is something that they will ask you. They'll say, look, I understand some bad things happen, but that was a long time ago. That was 7 years ago. That was 9 years ago. Why do you think you're still in danger now after all this time? You need to think about this carefully ahead of time to try to point to things that indicate that, yes, you are still in danger. Sometimes people have facts that are like, well, the bad guys went to my family's, my parents' house 2 months ago and said, oh, when is Lena getting back? We're going to get her when she gets back. That would obviously be a clear sign that they're still interested in harming you. But sometimes there's nothing like that, right? Like you haven't had any kind of threats like that. Nothing has happened that directly indicates like, look, I'm still at risk. Well, then you need to just focus on anything else you can point to that shows that people like you are still getting harmed for reasons that are the same as the reasons for which you fear being harmed. Like if you're a political activist or whatever the protected characteristic at issue is, you want to show that, look, the bad guys are still doing bad things to people like me. And so even if they're not actively looking for me after all this time, I could still come to their attention again. And it looks from country conditions information that is more recent that they're clearly still going out of their way to harm people like this. And so I would be at grave risk. Okay. NA says, what if someone's waiting for an affirmative asylum interview results more than 3 months? Is that normal? What can you do if it takes longer? What can someone do about it? Yeah, good question. The question is this. Why does it sometimes take a long time to get a decision after an affirmative asylum interview with USCIS? And what can you do about it if you're waiting for months? Well, look, the reasons why it happens are many. Usually it's nothing bad. Usually it does not mean it's going to be a negative decision. It just takes a long time because officers are completely overwhelmed. The work is hard and overwhelming. There's too much of it, and things just get put to the side and forgotten about. Sometimes there's like security checks that are pending and things like that, but usually it's just the officer just hasn't gotten to it yet. Okay. What can you do about it? If you've been waiting for more than a month, I recommend that you contact the asylum office by email and telephone and say, hey, I stand ready to provide the officer with anything else they might need to make the decision in my case. Let me know if you need anything from me. By the way, is there any chance you could give me an estimate for when you think this might be completed? Sometimes, rarely, but sometimes that's enough to spur action in the case, to get them to actually like pick up the file and go, oh yeah, I guess we can finish this one out and take some action and finish it off. If you applied for asylum 5 years or more ago and you're waiting for months after the interview for the decision, you can sue. I think you're in a good position to sue to force the decision. Okay. The Mandamus lawsuit that I love talking about, it works not only for suing to force the interview, but it also works to force a decision after your interview. And I said 5 years ago, a second ago, I'm talking about the time between your application and now, not the time between your interview and now, the time between your application and now. If that's 5 years or more, I think you're in a good position to have success with forcing your decision by way of a mandamus lawsuit. Okay? Good question. Kong says, I got my interview after 7 years and I paid my tax on time and no criminal records. Is this going to help me in my interview? Did you already have the interview, Kong, or is it coming up? Let me know if you already had it or it's coming up. Let me know. The question, though, is this. Will the fact that you've been an upstanding citizen while in the United States help you to win your asylum case? So we're talking about, the fact that you've been here for a while and you've been paying taxes and, you don't have a criminal record and maybe you have a decent job or a good job. Heck, maybe you own a company and you even employ U.S. citizens as employees. Will these kinds of things help you to win your asylum case? No. The asylum officer doesn't care about these things. Asylum officers are stressed and overwhelmed, and they just want to get through your case as quickly as possible, and they want to know whether you meet the strict asylum eligibility requirements. They don't care that you're a good person. They don't care that you have impressive academic or professional credentials. They don't care that you're a good, husband, father, wife, mother, any of that. They just want to know, do you qualify for asylum based on the strict requirements? And so it's actually a huge mistake that is very common that asylum applicants during their interview try to focus on these things I was just giving examples of, instead of going out of their way to show facts and circumstances that show how they meet the asylum requirements. It's a big mistake to try to focus on those things. If you really want to learn how to prepare for the interview in a way that will help you avoid those kinds of mistakes, and help you to practice in a way that lets you see what it's like and actually feel what it's like to be in that session, and to then get feedback from a professional who is an asylum lawyer, then you should talk with us about our mock asylum interview experience. We offer this service, this preparation service. It's what it is. It's preparation for the asylum interview. We offer this service called the mock asylum interview experience. And you can hire us for this, even if you don't hire us for like your whole case to actually be your lawyers. If you don't have the time for that, or maybe you don't have the money, the funds to hire us for a full representation, I'm really proud to offer this other service that's a lot cheaper, frankly, but it's super, I think, effective. It's super powerful, which is called the mock asylum interview experience. What is that? Well, it's 2 practice sessions and then a personalized study toolkit. The 2 practice sessions consist of, first of all, a 2-hour session that is the mock interview. An asylum lawyer is going to go with you and do basically everything you're going to do on the day of the real interview, a true practice interview. The second practice session is 30 minutes, and it's a feedback session or a debriefing where we're going to give you feedback about how you did well and other areas where you can improve. And we're going to help with you to practice those things and make your testimony clearer and better to help you tell your story in a clear, powerful way. Now, those are the 2 practice sessions. The study toolkit is the audio and video recordings of those 2 practice sessions that we're going to give to you, along with transcripts of those sessions and AI-generated summaries of those sessions. And so the point is, with this study toolkit, you can keep benefiting. You can keep studying and keep practicing and keep improving up until the moment of your interview. And so it doesn't even matter whether your interview is 2 weeks from now or 2 years from now, not scheduled yet, might not even be scheduled for years. This service is still going to be helpful to you. You're going to get the practice now, but you're going to get the materials, the video recording and audio recording and transcript and summaries that you can study, intensively when your interview does get scheduled, whether that's 2 months from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever. So it's still going to help you now. And you have to actually do a consultation, though, with us first to see if you qualify for this service. Not everyone qualifies for the mock asylum interview experience. You got to do a consultation first. If you want to do a consultation with us to learn more about this mock asylum interview experience and see if you qualify, please go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation. Not just about this mock interview service, but anything. If you think you might want help with your asylum case, that's where you schedule the consultation. WINASYLUM.com. asyleum.com, winasylum.com. Go there now. You don't have to wait till this is over. This show is over. Go to winasylum.com right now to schedule this asylum strategy session. You're welcome. I didn't know that was you. Leave them to karma. Says someone on TikTok says, "Thank you, Mr. Manning, for helping Tamika. No more, not having to stress anymore about getting deported. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. It was our pleasure and honor. It was an honor. If you are who I think you are, then thank you for your involvement and for helping move it along and for all of your support too. So thank you as well. It's our pleasure and honor to support Tamika. All right. Can you change your asylum from one state to another with one left month before your final hearing? Good question. The question is this: can you get your immigration case in immigration court switched from one court to another if you move from like one state to another, but you've only got like, let's say, a month left before your final hearing, your individual hearing, at the time that you move and ask for the case to be transferred? You can ask, but it's unlikely the judge will say yes. The judge will probably say no if you ask so close to the date of your individual hearing, your final hearing. Look, when people do this with at least several months, at least 6 months, for 6 months almost certainly, 3 months probably, they'll say yes if you actually move and you do the change of address form and you make the request for the judge to transfer the case. But when you get down to like 1 month, the judge there's a good chance they'll say no. They'll say, oh, it looks like you're just trying to stall. No, you got to go forward with your case. Okay. So look, there's no harm in trying though. If you have in fact moved, you need to do the change of address notification, and there's no harm in requesting that the case be transferred as well to the jurisdiction of the court where you're living now. It's not going to hurt you. Even if the judge says no, it's not going to hurt you. I don't think they're going to look down upon it, or I don't think they're going to make a negative decision or take it as a negative factor in your case because you asked and they said no. So there's no harm in trying. So sure, go ahead and try, but don't get your hopes up too high. Okay. All right. Good afternoon. For those who have just joined, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're watching. For those who've just joined us recently, I'm Brian Manning, and I'm a former asylum officer with the government turned asylum lawyer. So now I've got a law firm called Political Asylum Lawyers, and we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. So we're based in Houston, Texas, but it doesn't really matter because we help immigrants all over the country. So if you think you might want help with an asylum case, please call us. Actually, even better than calling is to go to schedule your consultation directly. You can do that online at winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. winasylum.com. How can I travel abroad if I'm an asylum seeker waiting for court? Good question. The question is this. So can you travel abroad if you've got an asylum case pending and you're in immigration court proceedings? No, you can't. As soon as you leave, you will have an order of deportation against you. It's just how it works, unfortunately. For people that are not in immigration court proceedings and rather they have a case pending with USCIS, they can travel abroad if they get a special permission first called advance parole. But for people who are in immigration court proceedings, it's not like that. There's really no option. There's no way to leave the country and be allowed back in. So unfortunately, that's a major downside of being in immigration court proceedings, that you can't leave the country. So if you want to stay in the United States and if you want to keep pursuing your claim or you want to just be here, you should not leave the country until you win your asylum case, and then you can apply for a refugee travel document, which is kind of like a passport, and it allows you to travel on it as if it were a passport, and you could have high confidence that you'd be okay to get back in when you want to come back. All right. Yeah, share. No, you can't. Even with advance parole, not if you're in removal proceedings. No, you cannot leave the country and get back in. And if you leave the country, it will be a an automatic deportation order against you. Okay, so you should not leave. All right. Thank you for sharing the live. Leave them to Karma. Very kind of you. Thank you, admin Salarsai. Appreciate you sharing the live. Is it on video? Asks 3 Tawid Amule. I didn't see your question. What that refers to is what on video. You asked on TikTok. Is it on video? What are you asking about? Is what on video? Let me know in a new chat. Is what on video? Okay. All right. Black Blade says, I applied for asylum in June. When can I expect an interview? Good question. The question is this. If you apply for asylum now, or maybe you've applied in the last couple of months, when can you expect to get your asylum interview? Look, there's no guarantees. It varies. It does vary. However, what I can tell you is that most people, or at least many people, are getting their interviews right away, within 1 to 3 months of applying. This may be surprising because you probably know of a lot of people in your communities that have been waiting for several years, 3, 5, 10 years for an interview. So it may sound strange that I'm saying, no, look, if you apply now, there's a good chance you're going to get your interview in 1 to 3 months. That's just how it is. It's kind of complicated, like the explanation, the reasoning for why that works like that people now who are applying, many of them are getting their interview immediately almost, as where there's people that have been waiting for 10, 12, 15 years for an interview who are still waiting and probably going to be waiting for years to come. It's weird, but that's how it is. So if you're applying now, or if you've applied in the last 2 or 3 months, you got to be ready. You might be getting your interview right away. You got to be ready to go. I hope you have an asylum lawyer helping you with your documents already. At a minimum, I hope you have someone who's helping you to prepare for the interview, because the interview preparation is the most important aspect of your entire case. The interview, what you say on your interview, during your interview, is much more important than what you said in your application materials. It's more important than what you say in your declaration. It's more important than the evidence that you have. It's even more important than having a lawyer represent you during your interview. By far, the most important part of your case is your testimony. And you can prepare in a way that will help you maximize your chances for success by having a great interview, by doing a great job with this testimony. So really, if there's anything you should be focusing on the most to give yourself the best chance to win your case, it's preparation. It's preparation, practice and preparation for your asylum interview. And we're offering now a special offering just for that. If you look, I think the best thing to do is hire my law firm from beginning to end for your case. That's not an option for some people because of time or because of money, because it's expensive. It costs a lot to hire my firm from beginning to end. But we're proud to offer this other option that is what we call the mock asylum interview experience that costs a lot less. It's a fraction of the full service attorney fees, and that is the mock asylum interview experience. It costs $3,000. And you can schedule that. You can't schedule it yet. You have to go first do a consultation. We have to see if you qualify. We want to talk with you and get to know you and see in the context of this consultation whether you qualify for the mock asylum interview experience. So schedule a consultation. Go to winasylum.com. Right now, schedule it right now. You don't have to wait for this show to be over. Don't worry about that. Go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Okay. Teddy says, can an asylee file for advanced parole, or do you advise a travel document instead? Honestly, Teddy, I don't know. I don't know whether it's even possible to apply for advanced parole as an asylee, but I know the important part is the answer to your question is you should apply for a refugee travel document. It's way better than advanced parole. I don't know if it's possible to even get advanced parole as an asylee, but you shouldn't worry about that. You shouldn't try that. You should go for the refugee travel document. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, MK914. I see all your questions now. I don't do SIJ. I'm sorry. I'm not in a position to speak to that kind of case. We just do asylum. We do asylum all day, every day. And I think that if you want to get some information or advice on the SIJ process, you should talk with a lawyer, immigration lawyer who focuses on that, or at least does that. We don't do that at all. So I'm not the best person to advise you on that. Okay. Are all asylum cases being dismissed before getting an interview with USCIS? Says Levy or Louis or Reason. Good question. Important question. The question is this. Is USCIS just dismissing or closing out all cases and sending people to immigration court or asking them to do a credible fear interview? No. No. They are closing out some cases and dismissing some cases of certain types. And most commonly, we're seeing this with people who came to the United States on parole, especially those who came on what's called the CHNV program. Outside of that, I don't think I've seen anyone just get their case dismissed or closed. I don't think so. Anyone who didn't come through parole on one of those programs. Okay, so no, if you didn't come on parole, if you came on a visa and you applied for asylum, I don't think you need to worry about having your case dismissed and not even getting a chance to present your case at USCIS. Okay. Interesting. Eva says, I didn't do asylum. I did something else, but I used his TikTok to prepare and I was successful. I'm curious, Eva. What did you do? What immigration case did you win with help from my TikTok channel? Because all I talk about is asylum, because that's all that we do. So I want to know how did my asylum content and my tips and perspectives on asylum help you with another immigration case? What kind of case? What kind of case was it? And how did this asylum talk stuff help you with your non-asylum case? I'm curious. You've got me curious, Eva. I want to know. I need more information here. Let me know. All right. But that's awesome. Congratulations. She says, I studied like I was a lawyer. I presented my case just like you explained. I went through all of your videos. Awesome. You mean on YouTube? Because YouTube's where I have all my trainings, my tutorials, detailed tutorials and trainings. So if you guys on TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn, if you want to see my best stuff in our trainings and tutorials, please go to YouTube. The YouTube channel is called Political Asylum Lawyers. Okay. Political Asylum Lawyers on YouTube. That's also the name of my law firm, by the way. All right. All right. Questions about winning asylum in America. Jeremy Spokane says, if an agent appeals if my affirmative asylum claim gets denied, I have TPS, can I file an appeal? So look, the answer is, to start the question is this. Can you make an appeal if you get a final denial from USCIS after your affirmative asylum interview? So look, we're talking about cases here where USCIS makes a negative decision on your asylum case. But at the time they make that negative decision, you still have legal status, legal immigration status, like including TPS, temporary protected status. Or maybe it could even be tourist status or student status. So they don't send your case to court. You do not get a chance to present your case again in court. Instead, you get a final denial. Can you appeal that? Look, there's no appeal technically. However, you can do something called a motion to reconsider, where it's basically an appeal. You're asking USCIS to appeal. There's no formal form for this, but the policy of USCIS is they will consider a written request to reconsider a denial. It's extremely hard to have success with this. It's extremely rare, but it's not impossible. We've done it. We've helped people do this. So it's not impossible, but it's very hard. You have to have a good reasoning to show the officer just like really made obvious legal mistakes in analyzing your case. So look, you pretty much only get one shot at this. So you got to do your best to make it count and win your case. And remember, the preparation is the key. It's much more important than your documents. I mean, documents can help. Don't get me wrong. Having a good application, having a good declaration, having good evidence, having a lawyer write a good legal brief for you, using good country conditions information, having a lawyer represent you during your interview, all those things can help and are good, but they're not as important as your preparation for your asylum interview. You've got to prepare. Okay. For those of you who've joined in the last few minutes, I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer. So I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now I'm a lawyer, and my law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers. We're based in Texas, but it doesn't really matter because we help immigrants all over the country. So it doesn't matter where you live. If you think you might want help with your asylum case, we should talk. Barbara Gutierrez, we should definitely talk. Barbara says, on YouTube says, I've been waiting 12 years for an interview. Wow, that is incredible. I cannot imagine what it must be like to be here for 12 years with this uncertainty about your future, about your safety and your security, and about, the life that you've been building here, whether you can keep it, because you don't know, because you don't have status, you don't have legal status. That's got to be incredibly stressful. We should talk, Barbara. At 12 years waiting for an interview, you are in an extremely strong position to have success with a Mandamus lawsuit. Meaning, I think there's a very good chance we can get your interview scheduled so that you can hopefully win your case and then move on with your life with confidence, with certainty about your future, okay? Moving towards U.S. citizenship. Barbara, we should talk. Please go to winasylum.com and schedule a consultation now. All right? I want you to talk with one of my colleagues about this, okay? We've got Wave 1 says, my boyfriend got asylum approved LGBT case and now has a green card. Can he marry me now, or will they deny our case and possibly even revoke his? Or should we apply after getting citizenship? Are you assuming by your question, are you saying that you're a female and your boyfriend got his asylum based on the fact that he's gay? Or look, I assume that's from the context of the question. I assume that's what you're saying, but I could be wrong about that. So let me know. If your boyfriend, it depends. You said LGBT case. If his case was, I'm bisexual, and then he ends up marrying you, a woman, that wouldn't look so weird, right? If he said, I'm gay, and then he ends up marrying a woman, yeah, that could be problematic. That is, yeah, it could cause to them denying his green card. Well, you said he now has a green card. Yeah, it could lead to them even revoking his green card and revoking his asylum and putting him in deportation proceedings. Yeah. Yes, very risky. Can I bring my own notes? Alex Channel wants to know. Alex, do you mean like take notes with you to the interview? Very good question. The question is this. Can you take notes with you to reference during your asylum interview with USCIS? No. The officer won't let you use notes. They won't let you look at bullet points on your phone or anything like that. They want to know whether you know your story and whether you can tell it in your own words. And so unfortunately, you have to memorize this stuff. Look, if you have a declaration, you basically need to memorize it. People, when I say this, people will say, oh, but Brian, will that look bad? Will I sound rehearsed when I'm telling my story? Will I sound memorized if I memorized my declaration? And to that I say, yeah, maybe, but that's better than messing up. That's better than having inconsistencies in your testimony, which can lead to you being denied. So I do think you need to basically memorize your declaration, and you just got to practice. That's the most important thing, is practice. You have to practice. We offer this guided practice. We offer a full scale mock interview along with a debrief session where we give you feedback and tips. And then we also give you those materials. We record the two practice sessions. We record the video and the audio. You can pop the audio into your Spotify, your Apple Music or whatever player and listen to it anytime you want. You can listen to it while you're doing the dishes, walking the dog, commuting to work, anytime, to get feedback and reinforcement of what you're learning and what you're practicing. This is called the mock asylum interview experience, and it's a fraction of the cost of like full scale representation. And it's $3,000. Okay, technically it's $2,997. If you wanted to hire us for your asylum case from the very beginning to the very end to be your lawyers for like a full scale representation, it's $11,000. This service, the mock asylum interview experience, is a fraction of that at $3,000, but it's the most important part. It's the most important part of any representation, in my opinion. And I think our clients agree with that. Okay. Cardi at 95 says, I have a case, asylum, almost 6 years. I'm waiting for the interview. Hasn't come yet. What do I do? You go to winasylum.com to schedule a consultation with us so we can talk about how we might be able to help you with a Mandamus lawsuit to file a lawsuit to sue the government to force them to give you your decision. And if you want our help with just that, great, we can do just that. Or you can hire us for that, plus helping you with your underlying asylum case to try to strengthen it, to prepare on paper, to prepare you for the interview through the practice sessions, and represent you during the interview as well. Okay? Go to winasylum.com to schedule that, Cardi. We should talk. Okay? Asylum pending, buying property for business purpose, for selling with profit. Does it affect your case? Dr. Abdul wants to know. No. Good. But let me address like this because it's an important question. The question is this. Will doing business deals, like including maybe buying and selling property for business purposes and selling it at a profit, will anything like that affect your asylum case? No. The asylum officer doesn't care about your business. They don't care about the fact that you're making a profit or making a loss. They don't care that you're a great guy. They don't care that you're a wonderful person. They don't care that if you have impressive academic credentials. They don't care about any of that. They want to know, do you meet the strict asylum eligibility requirements? And a huge mistake that many asylum seekers make is they want to focus on this other stuff. It's like, I'm a good person or I'm impressive. That's a huge mistake. You need to focus on the asylum eligibility requirements, which you do by practicing. First of all, you have to know what they are to be very educated about asylum. And then you need to practice telling your story and answering difficult questions in a way that shows the officer how you meet the asylum eligibility requirements. Okay? You're welcome, Cardi, at 95. You're welcome. My pleasure. Buying property in a third country? No, doesn't matter. Look, if you have to engage with if the government, if it's your home country and the government is the persecutor and you have to deal with people from the government, that doesn't look great. But if it's in a third country, meaning neither your home country nor the U.S., but it's some other country, then that should be fine. Okay? Right. Can an asylum seeker open a 501c, like a 501c3, like a nonprofit? I don't know. I think so. I mean, you can open a business, a normal business, a for-profit business for sure. I don't know. I actually do have a nonprofit myself, but I don't remember. It was a long time ago that we started it. I don't remember like the rules for who can start those. Yeah, this is information that you could probably find out by Googling. But if you really want to get certainty, you could talk with a lawyer who focuses on like nonprofit law. Okay. Dr. Abdul says, thank you. I really like you so much. I will contact you soon. Awesome. Abdul, why soon? Why not now? Like just jump on Abdul, just jump over right now, open up a new tab or open up Chrome on your browser on your phone and go to, or whatever you use, and go to winasylum.com and schedule the consultation now. WINASYLUM.com. Again, that's winasylum.com, which is WINASYLUM.com. Winasylum.com. For those of you on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, you're going to see on your screen a graphic which is basically what it looks like when you go to winasylum.com. It's showing you right now sort of what the process looks like to schedule your consultation. It's quick, it's easy. You can do it in just like 2 or 3 minutes. Get started right now at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Okay, sure, says Dr. Abdul Qadir. Awesome. I'm glad you were so agreeable. I hope to see you on the list of people who scheduled a consultation. I'm going to check as soon as I get off this show, this live, and I want to see you on there. All right. All right, doctor. Thank you. We look forward to speaking with you. All righty. Thank you. Oh, thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. Let's see. We've got these questions. My girlfriend's immigration judge grants asylum 65% of the time. Is that the normal rate for granting asylum with judges, or does that vary between judges? Well, it varies. The approval rate varies between judges, Andrew. Yeah, no, 65% is not the national average. I can tell you that. The national average is much lower. I think it's like 24% approval rate or something right now. So 65 is very high. 65 is good. Your wife is, or your girlfriend is lucky. That's good. That's very good. She should not move. She should not move to like to where her case could be transferred to another court. 65 is good. Okay. Mark K says, Brian, with Trump's trans and asylum bans, is it safe for a Middle Eastern trans person to apply for U.S. asylum? What are the risks? I mean, there is no. You can still get asylum in the United States based on sexual orientation and gender identity related issues. Yeah, you can still win asylum in the U.S. based on those things. Okay. Is Charlotte, North Carolina, a good place to move while I have my asylum case pending in Arlington, Virginia? No, Leonardo. No. Well, is it affirmative or defensive? If it's affirmative, it won't change when you move to Charlotte and you do the change of address form. It will not move your asylum office from Arlington because the Arlington office is the one that's responsible for people who live in North Carolina. So it won't make any difference, is what I'm saying. If it's immigration court that you're in, your case could get moved from Arlington to Charlotte, and that would be bad, almost certainly, because approval rates are a lot higher in Arlington than in Charlotte in immigration court. Okay. Moo Point says, asylum pending and marriage-based green card interview coming up. Give some opinions. I think you should keep pursuing both cases. Do not give up your asylum case unless and until you get that green card from the marriage-based case in your hand. Once you get the marriage-based green card, sure, then you can withdraw your asylum claim, but don't do it until you get that green card in your hand. Opinions on or advice on the marriage-based case, we don't do that. We don't handle those kinds of cases, so I'm not the best person to ask. I do think it's worth talking with a lawyer who focuses on that, an immigration lawyer who focuses on family-based immigration. You should talk to. Yeah, I think so. To get advice and help, and ideally hire them to represent you and to practice with you, to practice for that interview and to represent you during it. Okay. Danielle says, will it be a problem if I am bisexual, male, I have a wife, and apply for protection under the LGBTQ case? No. Not if you're saying you're bisexual. That's not inconsistent with anything. No, it's not a problem. Laurentiu Dascal, sorry for the pronunciation, says, my case has been pending for over 3 years. Should I wait longer for Mandamus, or is it still possible to file now? Good question. The question is this. Can you have success with a Mandamus lawsuit to force your asylum interview at just 3 years of waiting, or do you need to wait more? Look, we have had success at 3 years. We used to take cases where it had been pending, where the asylum cases had been pending for just 3 years, but we don't anymore. We changed our policies, and now we just do 5 years. I'm not saying it's impossible to win at 3 years or 4 years. We've won at 3 years, but we decided that as a law firm, we wanted our policy to be one where we think that that we have a good chance to have success with this. And so we decided that 5 years was kind of the mark for that. So that's why we decided 5 years. So it's not impossible at 3. If you wanted to hire my law firm, we'd say, sorry, we're going to wait. We need to wait till 5. But it's not impossible. You'll find other lawyers who would help you at 3 years, I'm sure. You could do it yourself, obviously, if you want, but it is kind of a complicated thing because you're dealing with federal court. So I do recommend that you have a lawyer help you with it. Okay. But look, there's still things that we can do if you want to be working on your case. There's other things that we can do right now to support your underlying asylum case. And then once you reach those 5 years, if you haven't got your interview yet, we can move forward with the Mandamus. Okay. Nice. What's the best way to answer the question? What would happen to you if you were returned to your home country today? Should there be like an immediate danger upon return? You just gotta look. You just gotta think about it and tell the truth based on what you think would happen to you. Like, think about the circumstances. Yeah, this is one of those where I can't give you like general advice. This is one of those very specific to your case kind of answers where you just need to think about it. Like, okay, what would happen? Why would I be at risk? Like what? How would the bad guys know that I was there, and what are they likely to do to me? You just have to just think about it, spend some time thinking about it ahead of time, and then be ready to explain it and tell the truth. Okay. Hey, Yelin, good to see you here. Yelin says, once Mandamus is filed, the government responds within 60 days. An interview notice in exchange, the government asks that we agree to stay the lawsuit, meaning pause. Please explain to me. I'll explain this. So the question is this. So what's the process after you file your Mandamus lawsuit to try to force the government to schedule your stalled asylum interview? The government has 60 days to respond, but it's not actually 60 days from when you file the lawsuit. It's 60 days from when they receive in the mail a copy of the lawsuit. But it takes the court a few days at least, sometimes it's a few weeks even, to produce some documents that they have to produce that we then, as your lawyer, you put together with the copies of the lawsuit, and we put it in the mail. So that takes a couple of days to get there in the mail. Once it actually gets to the defendants, the people that we're suing, from that date, they have 60 days to respond. So it's more than 60 days. But look, once they give you your interview, or once they schedule the interview, they say, after some negotiation with us, right? We get them to schedule the interview. And they say, okay, Brian, do you agree to pause the case? First of all, they say, do you agree to dismiss the case? Since we're scheduling the interview, we say, nope, we're not going to dismiss it until our client gets their decision in their hand. We want to keep the pressure on them. We want to keep the lawsuit active so that they're under pressure to do the interview and then to give you the decision quickly after the interview. So we say, nope, sorry, government lawyers, we will not dismiss the case yet. However, we'll agree to pause it, like basically just do a freeze, a pause of it so it doesn't move forward in federal court for a certain amount of days. Usually it's either 60 or 120 days. Usually it's 120, which I know is kind of a long time, but that's just kind of a standard for this kind of thing in federal court. So we give them those 120 days. But if you have not gotten your decision after those 120 days, then the lawsuit becomes activated again. But keeping that pressure on them usually causes them to both do the interview and then after the interview, give you the decision quickly. Usually with our Mandamus clients, after the interview, our clients are usually getting the decision in 2 or 3 weeks, usually on average. Sometimes it's more, but usually I would say it's probably 2 or 3 weeks. It's pretty fast. And that's another huge benefit of Mandamus lawsuits is that not only do you get your interview scheduled, but you also usually get the decision quickly after the interview. Because sometimes people will wait years for their interview, get the interview, but then they might wait years to get the decision after the interview. With Mandamus, you're making it very likely that you're going to get the interview quickly and get the decision quickly after the interview. Abdullah Shamal says, if we hire your firm as a former U.S. officer, will you personally handle our case or someone else? Do you accept only meritorious cases? Good question. So I'm going to address both of those separately. The first question is this. So at my law firm, do we only take on cases that we think are going to win, like only really meritorious cases? No, we take on hard cases. Look, if we think that you have zero chance for success or virtually zero chance for success, we won't take your case. I don't feel comfortable taking thousands of dollars from someone. Look, we charge for like full scale representation from beginning to end, we charge between $10,000 and $16,000 depending on certain circumstances. That's a lot of money. I would not feel comfortable taking a big amount of money like that from someone if I think that we can't help them. If I think that we can't add value and at least increase their chances for success in a meaningful way. But if I assess that you have like no chance for success, then I can't really increase your chances. So no, I won't take your case if I think you have like no chance for success. But yeah, we take cases where it's very unclear, where it's like you have a chance, but this is going to be a hard one to win. Sure, we take those cases all the time, and we win them sometimes. Okay, we'll tell you if we think that you have zero chance for success, we'll say sorry, we can't take your case. If we think your case is weak, but there's a chance for success, we'll tell you that. We'll say we think the chances for success are low. We think we can help you to increase your chances for success, probably significantly, but maybe it's the case that even with our help, we think your chances for success are still going to be pretty low, or even very low. We'll tell you that, and then you can decide, is it worth the risk? Is it worth the whole thing for you to hire us? Okay. The other question that you asked was, do I personally handle cases? Good question. The question is this. So when you hire my law firm to help you with your asylum case, is it going to be me, Brian Manning, personally, like working with you and helping you on your case? Almost certainly not. No. Look, I rarely handle aspects of direct client representation. If you hire us, honestly, you shouldn't expect to talk with me, and you shouldn't expect that I'm going to be the person who's actually working on your case. That's just not what I do anymore. I run the law firm, and I set the strategy overall and the framework for how we pursue cases. Now, I hire attorneys that I think are better than me for certain aspects of the representation, like preparing people for their interview or their hearing and then representing them during their interview or hearing. I don't think I'm great at those things. I think I'm very good at like the strategy and the framework and how we overall approach cases. And that's what we use in my law firm is my frameworks. But when it comes to the engagement with the client to prepare them and represent them, I'm not great at that, honestly. I hire lawyers who are better than me at that. So I think the people on my team are better than me at those things. So you don't want me. You don't want me to be the guy who actually goes to your interview or hearing with you. I'm not the best at that. I've got people that are better than me at those aspects, but they're running on my systems. They're using my philosophies. They're using my training. Okay. So you're getting a team that is using the political asylum lawyer's way, which is created by me, but you're getting people who are great at what they do. Okay. All right. Mark says, from my research, immigration court approval rates have drastically dropped, even in Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York. Will this get even worse? Yes, they have, and yes, it will. We have not seen statistics from the Asylum Office. They haven't published statistics about approval rates in several years, but we do have them for immigration courts. And yes, under the Trump administration, approval rates have dropped significantly. And yeah, I think they're going to keep dropping, both for immigration court and for the Asylum Office. I think approval rates will go lower and lower and lower and lower for the rest of the Trump administration, which is all the more reason that if you've got an asylum case pending in the Asylum Office and you've been waiting for a long time, like 5 years or more, I think you should consider suing the government to try to get your interview now, like in the next few months, rather than being unlucky and having your interview scheduled 2 years from now or 3 years from now, when I think that it's probably going to be significantly harder to win. Okay. The Big Brokers over on TikTok says, I like your true answer and honesty. Yeah. I mean, a second ago, thank you. I appreciate that, Big Brokers. Yeah. He's referring to my comment a second ago, answering the question that like someone asked, hey, do you personally handle a case if I hire you? And I said, no, almost certainly not. And I explained why and explained how it works. I want to be honest and straightforward with you. I don't want you to hire us if you think, oh, I can only work with Brian, then we're not the law firm for you, unfortunately. But I think that the law firm culture that I built, the frameworks, the strategies, the way that we handle a case, the political asylum lawyer's way, I think is excellent. And I think I've hired excellent people to carry it out. My teammates are great. My colleagues are amazing. So I think you're in great hands with us. That's going to be it for today. I'm Brian Manning. I used to be an asylum officer, but now I'm an asylum lawyer, and we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. That's what we do. We do asylum all day, every day. Agadarog over on Facebook says, hello, Brian. How are you? Thank you again. Good to see you, Agadarog. You're welcome. Truly our pleasure. Truly our pleasure. That's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you for being with us on the Asylum Answers Show. I'm going to go live again tomorrow on Wednesday. It should be a little bit earlier than I got on today. It should be about 10:30 a.m. Central Time tomorrow. So 10:30 a.m. Central, which is 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, Wednesday, on live. And I want to answer your questions. So think today and tonight about what questions you have about winning asylum in America, and I want to answer them tomorrow, Wednesday, August 20th at 10:30 a.m. Central Time or 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, which would be, I guess, 8:30 California time. Okay. All right, guys. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm Brian Manning, and if you want to talk with us, please go to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Again, that's winasylum.com. And schedule a consultation right now. All right, guys. Thank you. As always, it really is a pleasure and an honor to support you in your asylum journey. Have a great